Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. Germany's president dissolves parliament to pave way for a snap election on February 23rd. National vote will come 7 months ahead of schedule. South Korea's parliament impeaches acting president Han Duck-soo amid political turmoil in the country. Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok set to assume acting presidency. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to continue escalated fight against Houthis, says Israel is determined to root out this terrorist arm of Iran's axis of evil. India mourns passing away of former Prime Minister and face of 1991 economic reforms, Dr. Manmohan Singh. 7-day state mourning announced. Last rites to be performed tomorrow. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier dissolved the lower house of parliament, clearing the way for snap elections on February 23rd after the collapse of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition government. Scholz lost a confidence vote earlier this month following the departure of the Free Democrats, leaving his government without a majority. Meanwhile, Conservative challenger Friedrich Merz has launched his campaign, accusing Scholz's administration of stifling growth with excessive regulations.
Dear fellow citizens, I have decided today to dissolve the 20th German Bundestag and to schedule new elections for 23 February next year. A letter to this effect has just been handed over to the President of the German Bundestag. According to the vote on the vote of confidence, the current government no longer has a majority. However, I have not been able to recognize any majorities for a differently composed government in the talks either. I am therefore convinced that new elections are now the right way forward for the good of our country.
Trouble mounts in South Korea after lawmakers voted on Friday to impeach acting President Han Duck-soo. With this, South Korea witnessed its second impeachment of a head of state in less than 2 weeks. Now, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok has stepped into the role of acting president and vowed to overcome political turmoil. Constitutional Court holds first hearing for President Yoon's impeachment case on Friday and set 3rd of January for its next hearing.
For decades, South Korea was an example of a vibrant democracy and economy. But on Friday, South Korea's legislature voted to impeach acting President Han Duck-soo after Han declined to make judicial appointments. The appointments were important to facilitate the trial of the impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol. The opposition demanded the appointment of 3 judges to fill the vacancies in the 9-judge bench that would take up Yoon's impeachment matter. The motion, led by opposition parties, passed with 192 of the 300 votes amid rowdy scenes by ruling People's Power Party members.
I declare that the impeachment motion of Prime Minister Han Duck-soo was passed with 192 votes out of 192 votes cast.
Before the vote, the National Assembly Speaker said impeaching the acting president required a simple majority of lawmakers present, which is the same threshold as for impeaching a prime minister, while the ruling People's Power Party argued that a 2/3 majority was necessary, which is the threshold for a presidential impeachment. There are no specific laws on the impeachment of an acting president. Later, the Speaker declared a simple majority would constitute parliamentary approval. However, after the impeachment motion was passed, Han said in a statement, and I quote, "I respect the decision of the National Assembly and, in accordance with relevant laws, I will suspend my duties to avoid adding further confusion and uncertainty." The lawyer representing South Korea's embattled president, Yoon Suk-yeol, said that the suspended leader plans to appear in court in person for an impeachment trial.
Yoon Suk-yeol will attend the impeachment trial by himself and speak. We reviewed each regulation, but the court's attempts to send documents cannot be considered as illegal. More people are joining legal team and many people are applying, so the team will be finalized soon.
지원하는 사람도 많아서 곧
Now, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok has stepped into the role of acting president. Meanwhile, pro and anti-Yoon groups held separate rallies in front of South Korea's Constitutional Court as it began the first hearing into President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment proceedings. The Constitutional Court is reviewing whether to overturn a call for impeachment and reinstate Yoon or remove him permanently from office. The court has 180 days to reach a decision. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
The removal of Han Duck-soo as South Korea's interim president has undoubtedly triggered a sense of uncertainty across the nation. This development is likely to affect various aspects from the economy to the regular functioning of the government. For now, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok has stepped in as the acting president. Now, joining us live is Ambassador Sri Raja Shekhar, former senior diplomat. Ambassador, first of all, thank you so much for joining in on the broadcast. Now, first, Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached, and this time Han Duck-soo impeached. Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok now assuming the role of acting president. How do you analyze the situation at a time when South Korea as a country is dealing with financial instability and government functioning is dented to an extent?
This is unfortunately the cost of polarization. Democracy gives the opportunity for people to be represented through their representatives. But here, what happened is, since April this year, the parliament is controlled by the opposition, Democratic Alliance, and the president is from the People's Power Party, which is Conservative Party. So the polarization is the root of this problem. Then the National Assembly had impeached the president. Even his own party members also did not approve president imposing martial law. So the president was impeached. Now the matter had to go to the Constitution Court. The Constitution Court should have a full strength of 9 judges, but there are only 6 judges.
Yeah.
The requirement is that the Constitution Court has to approve 6, at least 6 of the judges have to convey their concurrence to the impeachment. Now, in the present situation, 6 out of 6 have to give. Even if one judge dissents, the president will come back. So that is the trigger for this aggravated polarization.
Okay. Ambassador, there's a looming threat also which the country is dealing with from nuclear-armed neighbor North Korea. The chaos is continuously brewing within the country. Do you think North could take any advantage in this situation?
We should keep our fingers crossed. So far, nothing happened. Also because North Korea at this point of time is busy cozying up, helping Russia in Russia's war against Ukraine. Of course, there is always the danger because Seoul, the capital, is within the firing range of cannons from North Korea. But of course, South Korea is well defended. American troops are also stationed in South Korea. Of course, given the hostility, lack of treaty of friendship, only armistice, what they call ceasefire agreement between the two Koreas, situation is quite tense and volatile. This kind of political uncertainty is not desirable, both strategically and also economically. Today, the Korean won has nosedived to its low, not seen for more than 15 years. So the sooner there is political stability returns, the better for the nation.
Ambassador, can you, for our viewers, once again explain what is this issue of 9 judges and 6 judges, and vacancies which triggered this impeachment?
Yes. Say the Constitution Court, the provisions are contained at Article 111 towards the Korean Constitution. It specifies that there shall be 9 judges in the Korean Constitution Court. And they are appointed for a period of 6 years, like our Rajya Sabha, and they keep retiring. So there is a vacancy of 3 judges, which was to be filled after April. But because there is polarization, the National Assembly is dominated by the democratic opposition parties. There has been no appointment of those three judges. In the meantime, the president on 3rd December had imposed martial law. So while there were only 6 judges, this martial law imposition had happened, which caused the president's own conservative People's Power Party MPs also to vote to impeach. Now, when the matter goes before Constitution Court, the requirement at Article 113, 1 of the Korean Constitution says, any impeachment requires the concurrence, means the approval of at least 6 judges. So, in the present situation, each judge has to support the impeachment. Even if one single judge dissents, the impeached president will return to power, restore. So that the opposition parties don't want. So what they did was yesterday, Thursday, the opposition parties passed a resolution in the Parliament, National Assembly, requiring the government to move to appoint 3 judges. But the acting president did not support that. He said that he wants to see the Parliament appoint these 3 judges through consensus, not through divided means, but through consensus manner. So since the acting president is standing in the way, that's what the perception of the opposition party, they wanted to impeach the acting president also, which passed
and
today.
Ambassador, chaos also erupted in the parliament when National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-shik announced that only 151 votes would be needed to pass the impeachment bill.
Yes. So the law is not clear on impeachment of acting president. While the impeachment of president is well prescribed, that 2/3 of the members of the parliament have to support. But about acting president, what shall be the number? It is not clear. So the opposition, the speaker say that simple majority is enough, which is 151. Today, 192 of the opposition bloc have voted to impeach the acting president, while the entire membership of the ruling president's party, People's Power Party, have protested and boycotted, knowing that going by the speakers and opposition's approach, they don't stand a chance. So they protested to register their opposition.
Also, Ambassador, the South Korean currency dipped further against the US dollar to its lowest level in nearly 16 years on Friday amid a deepening political crisis and growth woes. What does it indicate about the country's economic situation in future?
Yes, actually, Koreans are very hardworking people. In fact, after the Korean War, they have shot back in one generation to become a developed country, member of OECD, in a position to give development aid to other developing countries through their dint of hard work. They worked 2 shifts, almost 15, 16 hours for half the salary of a developed country. So that's how they very quickly, rapidly contributed to economic development of Korea. But one day they suffered during the Asian financial crisis, and today, because of the uncertainty, the Korean won has nosedived. That's what the acting president said, that my job is to stabilize the economy as the acting president. Let's not further polarize. But that is also taken as a certain perspective. It is like a bureaucrat saying that let's have order. But the politician always will have a different way because he has the mandate. He is the authorized legal representative of the people, which in this case is the National Assembly of the Republic.
Okay. My last question before I let you go, Ambassador. Now, after analyzing every situation, whatever is happening in South Korea, what next for South Korea now, according to you? How do you analyze it?
We hope that the next proceedings would happen in tune with the constitution, that the finance minister will step in as the next acting president, while the impeachment of the acting president Han would also be referred to the Constitution Court. And again, I suppose the acting president, finance minister, will be facing the question of appointment of the vacant three judges. Once the judges are appointed, then the Constitutional Court would hear. And while this is happening, there also one more development that the impeached president, he has been resisting to appear before the corruption office summons twice on 15th and 25th. He did not show up. But today he had made a statement through his lawyer that he would appear before the Constitution Court and his team will strengthen and he would make his case that he had acted well within the Constitution. He had imposed martial law for anti-state activities of the opposition parties. So what is going to happen is that Constitution will prevail, and so far proceedings have been peaceful. We hope that democracy will triumph.
All right. All right, Ambassador, thank you so much for joining in on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Indian banks' profitability continue to rise. Bosnia's Balkan Blues earns UNESCO recognition.
This year, the Wall of Sports gave unforgettable moments that will forever echo in the halls of glory. From Paris Olympics 2024 to India's trailblazing success at the Paralympics, chess prodigy Gukesh conquering the world. India ended a long way to bring home the T20 World Cup glory. And on the European stage, Spain proved their dominance yet again. Relive the drama, the triumphs and the passion that defines Sports Saga 2024.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was also known as the architect of India's economic liberalization, passed away on Thursday night at the age of 92. He breathed his last at the AIIMS New Delhi emergency ward after being in critical condition. He retired from the Rajya Sabha in April 2024. Despite his age-related illness, Dr. Singh attended some sessions of Parliament in a wheelchair, a rare display of dedication by the 92-year-old academician and economic strategist. Here's a look at the life and times of late Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Manmohan Singh, a pioneering economic administrator, statesman, and India's third longest-serving Prime Minister, passed away at the age of 92. A towering figure in India's public life, his remarkable journey from humble beginnings to shaping the nation's economic and political landscape will be remembered for generations to come. Born on the 26th of September in the year 1932 in a village in Punjab province of undivided India, Singh excelled in studies despite limited resources. He won a place at Cambridge University before heading to Oxford, earning a doctorate with a thesis on the role of exports and free trade in India's economy. His book, India's Export Trends and Prospects for Self-Sustained Growth, was an early critique of India's inward-oriented trade policy. His academic credentials were burnished by his years on the faculty of Punjab University and the prestigious Delhi School of Economics. In the year 1971, Singh joined the Government of India as an economic advisor in the Commerce Ministry. This was soon followed by his appointment as the Chief Economic Advisor in the Ministry of Finance in 1972. Among the many governmental positions that Manmohan Singh occupied were the Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission, Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Advisor of the Prime Minister, and Chairman of the University Grants Commission. He was nominated to the Rajya Sabha for the first time by the Congress Party in October 1991, 4 months after he became the Union Finance Minister. He represented Assam for 5 terms in the Rajya Sabha and shifted to Rajasthan in 2019. His last term that ended in April this year. He was the Prime Minister for 2 successive terms. One of the biggest highlights of Singh's regime was securing the India-US civil nuclear agreement that opened up civilian nuclear cooperation. Manmohan Singh led the UPA government delivered about 8.5% GDP growth. The 2 UPA regimes led by Manmohan Singh are credited with the launch of social welfare initiatives such as guaranteed job schemes, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee and the right to education for every child. Dr. Manmohan Singh's years as Prime Minister were, however, marred with scams like 2G, CWG and coal block allocations. Despite the leak hiccups, Singh's image as a clean leader remained untarnished. He will be remembered as the architect of India's tryst with economic liberalization and sustained economic growth. Bureau Report, DD India.
Leaders from across the world have expressed their grief over the demise of Dr. Manmohan Singh, recognizing his significant role in India's economic reforms and international relations. DD India's Abhishek Bose brings us the report.
India's President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the nation in bidding adieu to former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. PM Modi said India will always remember his contributions to the nation.
एक अर्थशास्त्री के रूप में उन्होंने अलग-अलग स्तर पर भारत सरकार में अनेक सेवाएं दी। एक चुनौतीपूर्ण समय में उन्होंने रिजर्व बैंक के गवर्नर की भूमिका निभाई। पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री भारत रत्न श्री पीवी नरसिम्हा राव जी की सरकार के वित्त मंत्री रहते हुए उन्होंने वित्तीय संकट से घिरे देश को एक नई अर्थव्यवस्था के मार्ग पर प्रशस्त किया। प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में देश के विकास में और प्रगति में उनके योगदान को हमेशा याद किया जाएगा।
The demise of Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was also a renowned economist, has drawn condolences and tributes from global leaders. French President Emmanuel Macron called Dr. Singh a great man who devoted his life to India. On social media platform X, Macron said, India lost a great man and France a friend. The United States offered condolences on Dr. Manmohan Singh's demise. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken called Dr. Singh one of the greatest champions of the US-India strategic partnership. Notably, Dr. Manmohan Singh played a significant role in advancing the 2007 Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement between India and the US. China's Foreign Ministry expressed condolences over the passing of Dr. Manmohan Singh. China said Singh had made positive contributions to India-China relations. Former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper joined the international chorus of condolences, praising Dr. Singh for his exceptional intelligence, integrity and wisdom. Former Maldivian President Abdullah Shahid shared his condolences. He recalled Dr. Singh's 2011 visit to the Maldives, where he became the first head of state to address the Maldivian parliament. Former Afghan President Hamid Karzai described Dr. Singh as one of India's most illustrious sons and an unwavering ally and friend to the people of Afghanistan. Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh will be remembered as a pivotal figure in India's economic transformation and a respected statesman on the international stage. Abhishek Bose for DD India.
Indian banks' profitability continue to rise, according to a report by India's central bank, Reserve Bank of India. Banks' profitability rose for the 6th consecutive year in 2023-24, and it continues to rise in 2024-25 with a return on assets at 1.4% and return on equity at 14.6%. Asset quality improved with the gross non-performing assets ratio falling to its lowest in 13 years at 2.7% at end March 2024 and 2.5% at end September 2024. RBI said the capital position of banks remained satisfactory as reflected in key parameters like leverage ratio and capital to risk weighted assets ratio. The net bad loans of banks fell to 0.57% of total loans at September end from 0.62% at end March, driven by stronger loan loss buffers. The asset quality of non-bank finance companies also improved further in 2023-24 amid a sustained double-digit balance sheet growth. The net profit of the scheduled commercial banks increased by 32.8% to 3,49,603 crore during the last fiscal. Russia has welcomed Slovakia's proposal to host peace talks with Ukraine, highlighting Moscow's commitment to resolving the conflict. Slovakia, increasing skeptical of continued support for Ukraine, faces pressure over its reliance on Russian energy. Meanwhile, both sides continue to clash on the battlefield, with Russia making gains in Donetsk and Ukraine holding its ground.
Russia has welcomed Slovakia's proposal to host peace talks with Ukraine, emphasizing Moscow's commitment to resolving the conflict. Slovakia, which dependent on Russia for its energy needs, is considered part of a growing group of Central and Eastern European EU member states that are skeptical of continued support for Ukraine and more supportive of negotiations with Russia. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky criticized Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico for his lack of willingness to reduce Slovakia's dependence on Russian natural resources.
As for the place for talks, yes, Fico said if it comes to negotiations, they would be happy to provide their own country as a platform for such negotiations. We are not opposed if it comes to that. Why not? Since Slovakia takes a neutral position. In our opinion, this position is neutral and Slovakia as host for talks is an acceptable option for us.
Russian President Vladimir Putin also said that there was no time left this year to sign a new Ukrainian gas transit deal and laid the blame firmly on Ukraine for refusing to extend the agreement that brings gas to Slovakia, the Czech Republic and Austria. The current 5-year gas transit deal between Russia and Ukraine expires in the end of the year.
Ukraine said that they would not extend the gas transit contract. We did not terminate the contract. If that's what they want, so be it. Now, as we speak, we don't have a contract. It's impossible to sign in 3 to 4 days. There won't be one, so the prices will rise, but we do not provoke it. It's their Ukraine's policy.
While in the latest updates from the battlefield, both Russia and Ukraine continue to strike each other. Russian drones targeted a multi-story apartment building in Chasiv Yar, Donetsk region, killing 2 and injuring 2 others. Russia reported gains in Donetsk, while Ukraine claimed to have repelled multiple Russian attacks, holding its defensive lines. Meanwhile, Ukrainian soldiers are showing signs of exhaustion in the ongoing battle against the large Russian army.
To be honest, it's hard to watch the news, realizing that young guys are fighting there, who have never seen life before, and guys who have been there have been wounded. They still come back. And I'm feeling well. So how I different from them? It's hard to see a driver with a prosthesis.
As Russia strives to end the conflict in Ukraine and may resort to more powerful intermediate range weapons if necessary, a new approach to peace talks in this long-running conflict seems to be the need of the hour. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Bosnia's ancient love song, Saved Alinka, was added to UNESCO's heritage list. Also referred as the Balkan Blues, it is a mix of South Slavic oral poetry and the music of the Ottoman Empire. Musicians like Enes Salman and Damir Imamovic are reviewing the Balkan Blues globally, sharing its rich history and emotional melodies with new audiences. Over 360 swimmers from around the world plunged into the frigid Vltava River in Prague on Boxing Day, honoring the legacy of Alfred Nikodem, the founder of winter swimming in the Czech Republic. The event, now in its 78th year, saw participants dive into water temperatures around 4 degrees Celsius. The Chubu Centre International Airport in Aichi, Japan is packed with travelers ahead of New Year holidays. Over 144,500 passengers have booked flights through January 5, a sharp rise from last year due to new air routes and resumptions of flight schedules following the coronavirus pandemic. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Vivek Ramaswamy is advocating for major H-1B visa reforms. Stay with us to know more. President of Panama, Jose Raul Mulino, rules out negotiations with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump over control of the Panama Canal.
"2024, the year the world woke up to climate's harsh realities and powerful progress." Let's explore the stories that shaped the year 2024. The Amazon, the parts of the North America burned brighter than ever this year. With wildfire and catastrophic weather on the rise, are we prepared for what's next? India's energy transition is inspiring the world. As we wrap up, it's clear that 2024 has been a year of immense climate challenges, but also of remarkable progress.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to continue to act against Iran-aligned Houthis until the job is done. On Thursday, Israeli strikes hit multiple targets linked to Houthi movement in Yemen, including Sana'a International Airport. In response, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis claimed they fired a missile at Israel's Ben Gurion Airport. UN Chief Antonio Guterres expressed concerns over escalation of tension between Israel and Yemen. Fuzail Ahmed reports.
Israel struck multiple targets linked to the Iran-aligned Houthi movement in Yemen on Thursday, including Sana'a International Airport. Damage could be seen at Sana'a International Airport following Israeli strikes on the Yemeni capital. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will continue its mission until it is complete, adding Israel is determined to root out this terrorist arm of Iran's axis of evil.
A little while ago, the Air Force attacked targets of the Houthi terrorist organization in Yemen, both on the coastline and in Sana'a. We are determined to root out this terrorist arm of Iran's axis of evil. We will persist in this until we complete the job.
The Israeli military said that in addition to striking the airport, it also hit military infrastructure at the ports of Hodeidah, Salif and Ras Qanatib. Images released by Yemen's Houthi rebels show what they say is the aftermath of Israeli strikes on the Ras Qanatib power station in Hodeidah. Houthi media said at least 6 people were killed. WHO chief said he and his colleagues were traveling through Yemen's Sana'a airport on Thursday when it was hit by an aerial bombardment. The spokesperson of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Israel's airstrikes on Sana'a International Airport, the Red Sea ports and power stations were alarming.
The Secretary General remains deeply concerned about the risk of further escalation in the region and reiterates his call for all parties concerned to cease all military actions and to exercise utmost restraint. He also warns that airstrikes on Red Sea ports and Sana'a Airport pose grave risks to humanitarian operations at a time when millions of people are in need of life-saving assistance.
In response, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis say they fired a missile at Israel's Ben Gurion Airport.
استهدفت مطار بن جوريون.
The missile force of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a specific military operation targeting Ben Gurion Airport in the occupied area of Yafa using a hypersonic ballistic missile of Palestine II type. The missile succeeded in reaching its target despite the enemy's censorship.
In Tel Aviv, sirens were heard in the early hours of Friday morning following a missile launch from Yemen, the Israeli military reported. Meanwhile, Houthi Deputy Transport Minister Yahya al-Sayani said that despite the damage, flights have resumed from the airport. More than a year of Houthi attacks have disrupted international shipping routes, forcing arms to reroute to longer and more expensive journeys that have in turn stoked fears over global inflation. Fuzail Ahmed reports for DD India.
Yemenis took to the streets in large numbers to rally against Israel and in support of Palestinians in several cities following Friday prayers. The biggest demonstration in the capital Sana'a saw protesters, some armed, chanting anti-Israeli slogans and voicing support for Palestinians in Gaza. Many waved Palestinian flags alongside Yemeni flags. On Thursday, Israel struck multiple targets linked to the Iran-aligned Houthi movement in Yemen, including Sana'a International Airport, killing at least 6 people according to Houthi figures. All right, and joining us live from Israel on broadcast is Dr. Kinraj Jangir. He is a West Asia expert. And thank you so much, sir. First of all, for joining in on the broadcast. We'll discuss about the implications of the strike. But as of now, I want to bring your attention to the fact that the strikes came at a time when head of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, was about to board a plane at the airport, according to him. And this is serious. What's your analysis?
Thank you, Siddharth. I find that news very, in a way, concerning. But I think Israel has been, in a way, under constant rockets and missiles for the last 8 days. I have been in this country for the last 4 days. And every night around midnight or early morning, there are sirens and people really have to take shelters. And these are like millions of people across the central Israel, cities like Tel Aviv.
Okay. Tell us how it is like to be there. I mean, you have to go to the bunkers when sirens, they go on?
Yes. You are advised that you have around 60 seconds, a minute from your apartment to the shelter. That's a safe period in which you should be not doing anything else but rushing to the shelter house. And these are shelters like, the basement of 5, 8-floor buildings. All the basements are bunker rooms with iron doors. So they are safe zones if the buildings collapse or there is a direct hit to one apartment. It's scary to just run out of your apartment in the middle of the night and not knowing it can really be your apartment that night that a missile will come and hit. Missiles don't really explode the whole buildings, but it can really hit a full apartment and can kill. And some of the families have been killed in that fashion for the last 8 days. So I think in Israel, the situation is very grim. And at the end of the year, when Israel was actually, the military and the hawkish politicians in the government have been actually celebrating their victories against Hezbollah, their victories against Hamas in 2024, they seem to be a little frustrated with Houthis attacking Israel in a direct fashion. Inside Israel, the debate is not to target Sana'a and think that will be sufficient. Israel is actually debating to take action against Iran. Because whatever Houthi groups are doing, it's not their call. They're acting, with the strong Iranian support and incentive. So Israeli cabinet met yesterday night and decided that they would actually come out with a plan and a declared intent to directly hold Iran responsible for these attacks for the 8 days and take an action if Iran doesn't back off.
Okay. So now Houthi military spokesman Yahya Saraya announced the launch of a hypersonic missile targeting Israel's Ben Gurion airport, while Israeli Prime Minister vowed to continue strikes on Yemen until the mission is complete. Until the mission is complete. Do these developments signal the possibility of an escalating high-intensity conflict between the two sides in the near future? And what are the potential consequences of prolonged Israeli military operations in Yemen for its internal stability?
Well, that really is a bit of a worrying sign. Mission complete is an ambiguous term that Netanyahu has been using for the last year and a half. He still thinks mission is not complete in Gaza. And that's just a rhetoric with which the war is continued and ceasefire is ignored. The problem would not be so much in Yemen. The problem for the region will be a direct escalation between Iran and Israel.
Okay.
Because Israeli government and military rightly think that Houthis will not stop until and unless Iranians really stop their hostility towards Israel. Now, Iranians have lost all leverage and military outreach in Lebanon as well as in Syria. So the only way Iran is saving its place in the name of the Palestinians is to create this kind of a situation from Yemen, which in a way achieves two things to the Iranian interest. A, the region remains unstable and highly risk-oriented. And second, it also spoils the plans of Donald Trump, who made it very clear that by January 20, when he comes into the office, he wants all wars to be over in the Middle East. So I think Iranians do not want to give this, possible reality to Donald Trump. And they are, in a way, it's kind of a brinkmanship that we call it in international politics, pushing things on the edge, making the other react all the time.
Okay. Also, I would like to talk to you about the global trade which is being affected. What's your analysis say? The presence of Houthis in that area is affecting the global trades because the ships are, they have to take longer routes. The insurance company have hiked the prices.
It's a terrible for the international trade. And it actually has been very terrible for the Indian Trade Association, the Indian Export Association. The National Association met Piyush Goyal multiple times, requested him. And I think Iran and Houthis are really risking many countries and their economic well-being. I mean, for a rhetoric which is not sincere, in the name of the Palestinian people. I think Iran is abrasive with its diplomacy, and Iran doesn't really want stability in the Middle East. Stability in the Middle East is essential for a country like India. Think of the trade and think of the India's I2U2 or India, Middle East and Europe economic corridor. All of these things are in a way buried now because of this situation that Iran has in a way helped create from Yemen. Yemen is actually a very, very, in a way, bad spot because it's a country that doesn't have any history of conflict with the Palestinian or the Israelis. Think of it that in the last 75 years, Yemen did not join any of the Arab wars that were fought with Israel. But now suddenly a group comes up in Yemen and says, well, we don't care about the well-being of Yemen, but we care about the Israel-Palestinian conflict. So I think it's a bit of instrumentalist, opportunistic exploitation of the Palestinian issue by the Houthis and the Iranian patrons from Tehran.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining in on the broadcast. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Siddharth.
Co-head of Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, Vivek Ramaswamy, is advocating for major H-1B visa reforms that ignited a debate within the Republican Party. Ramaswamy has voiced strong disapproval of the current H-1B framework, describing it as bad for everyone involved. He believed The program's lottery-based selection process should be replaced with a merit-based system. The change in existing H-1B laws is likely to benefit India and other nations, leading to quicker visa processing and an easier transition to permanent residency. President of Panama, Jose Raul Molino, ruled out negotiations with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump over control of Panama Canal, denying that China was interfering in its operation. Trump, on 22nd of December, threatened that the United States would retake control over the canal, which it administered for decades. On this, President Molino said that there is no any Chinese interference in Panama Canal.
Es un sinsentido.
It's nonsense. There is not a single Chinese soldier in the canal. And on the other hand, it's not going to happen. We maintain a respectful, well-managed relationship with China in terms of what is in the interest of both countries. I have always mentioned that I am very interested in the relationship with China for the effect of Panamanian exports to a market that needs everything.
Let's take a look at other stories making news. Banaras Hindu University in Varanasi is hosting its 73rd annual flower exhibition, with this year's theme centered around Mahakumbh. A highlight of the event is a floral replica of Baba Vishwanath, drawing crowds and serving as a popular photo spot. The countdown for the 813th Urs of Sufi Saint Hazrat Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti has begun. The customary flag ceremony will take place this Saturday at Dargah Khwaja Sahib in Ajmer. Urs marks the death anniversary of a Sufi saint observed at their Dargah. Srinagar and Anantnag in Jammu and Kashmir turned into a winter wonderland with fresh snowfall on Friday. The snow has enhanced the scenic beauty, drawing visitors to picturesque spots like Kokanak and Pahalgam. And still to come on DD India News Hour. PM Modi expresses grief on demise of Osamu Suzuki. Indians have broken all records in terms of US visas. How? Stay with us to know more. We'll tell you all the latest updates from the second day of fourth test between Australia and India.
This year, the Wall of Sport gave unforgettable moments that will forever echo in the halls of glory. From Paris Olympics 2024 to India's trailblazing success at the Paralympics, chess prodigy Gukesh conquering the world. India ended a long way to bring home the T20 World Cup glory. And on the European stage, Spain proved their dominance yet again. Relive the drama, the triumphs and the passion that defined Sports Saga 2024.
You're watching DD India News On. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Indians have broken all records in terms of US visas. The US Embassy said that the US mission in India issued more than 1 million non-immigrant visas for the second consecutive year in 2024. This includes a record number of tourist visas. This number reflects the growing demand for travel from India to the US, especially for tourism, business and education purposes. According to the US Embassy in India, the number of tourists from India has increased fivefold in the last 4 years, and more than 2 million Indians traveled to the US in the first 11 months of 2024, an increase of 26% compared to the same period in 2023. India achieved an important milestone in 2024 by becoming the country sending the most international students to the US for the first time since the 2008-9 academic year. This year, the number of Indian students studying in the US was more than 331,000. India remained the largest source of international graduate students for the second year in a row. Number of Indian graduate students grew by 19%, reaching nearly 200,000 students. In addition, many exchange visitors will now be allowed to stay in US for up to 2 years after completing their programs, giving them more opportunities to advance their careers and education. The Indian Space Research Organisation will launch its SPARDEX mission on 30th of December. SPARDEX is a cost-effective technology demonstrator mission for the demonstration of in-space docking using two small spacecraft launched by PSLV. The SPARDEX mission aims to develop key in-space docking technology for India's future space station. It involves two 220-kilogram satellites, SDX-01 Chaser and SDX-02 Target, which will perform docking maneuvers in low Earth orbit at an altitude of 470 kilometers. Osamu Suzuki, the long-serving leader of Suzuki Motor Corporation, who transformed the company into a global automotive powerhouse, passed away on December 25 at the age of 94. Under his leadership, Suzuki introduced the Alto minicar in 1979, revitalizing Japan's domestic mini vehicle market. In 1982, he forged a partnership with the Indian government to establish Maruti Udyog, which launched the iconic Maruti 800 hatchback a year later. The car revolutionized Indian transportation, offering an affordable, efficient option for middle-class families. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief on the passing of Osamu Suzuki. PM wrote in a social media post that deeply saddened by the passing of Mr. Osamu Suzuki, a legendary figure in the global automotive industry. His visionary work reshaped global perceptions of mobility. Under his leadership, Suzuki Motor Corporation became a global powerhouse, successfully navigating challenges, driving innovation and expansion. He had a profound affection for India, and his collaboration with Maruti revolutionized the Indian automobile market. Now you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sport. And the much anticipated 16th CEC Cup ice hockey tournament has kicked off in India's hilly town of Kargil on Friday. The opening ceremony witnessed an impressive gathering of sports enthusiasts, local dignitaries and community members. The tournament, which aims to promote winter sports and foster local talent, has garnered immense enthusiasm from players and spectators alike. This year, the tournament features 38 teams from Kargil district, including 32 boys team and 6 girls team, marking a significant representation of youth in region's sports activities. India's legendary batter Sachin Tendulkar has accepted an invitation to become an honorary member of the renowned Melbourne Cricket Club. It is one of the oldest clubs in Australia, which was founded in 1838. It manages Melbourne Cricket Ground. Tendulkar has an impressive record at the MCG with 449 runs from 5 tests. Indian women cricket team defeated West Indies by 5 wickets to win the third one-day international match in Vadodara on Friday and clinched the series 3-0. Batting first, West Indies got off to a disastrous start as pacer Renuka Singh got rid of both the openers. In the first over of the match, the visitors managed to reach modest total of 162 runs due to 102-run partnership between Henry and Campbell. Dipti Sharma grabbed 6 wickets for 31 runs, and in chase, India also lost opener Smriti Mandhana and Harleet Deol cheaply. But Jemima Rodriguez and Dipti Sharma put on a gritty 50-run stand to stifle hopes for a West Indies comeback. India have won the first 2 one-day matches earlier. India suffered a disastrous run-out and Scott Boland took 2 wickets to leave the visitors in a major trouble on day 2 of the 4th test against Australia. India were 164 runs for the loss of 5 wickets at stumps and trailing by 310 runs. Rishabh Pant was not out 6 and Ravindra Jadeja on 4 as 3 wickets in the final half hour halted India's momentum. Scott Boland and skipper Pat Cummins grabbed 2 wickets each while Yashasvi Jaiswal was run out. Earlier, Australia put up a daunting first innings score of 474 runs on the back of Steve Smith's century. Smith recorded his 34th test century on the way to 140 at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. And Australia's batter Steve Smith scripted history against India when he scored 140 runs in the Melbourne Test on Friday. Now Smith has scored most number of centuries against India in Test cricket history. The Australian batter achieved the milestone with his 11th century during the second day of the 4th Test. Smith surpassed England's Joe Root, who has 10 centuries against India. Smith's 11 tons have come in just 43 innings, while Root required 55 innings to reach his tally. Debutant fast bowler Corbin took South Africa to 90-run lead on the second day of the first test against Pakistan in Centurion on Friday. South Africa were bowled out for 301 in reply to Pakistan's 211 runs in the first innings. Bosch, batting at number 9, hit an attacking 81 not out. He also took 4 wickets earlier. In the second innings, Pakistan were 88 for loss of 3 wickets at the close of play. South Africa need to win one of the 2-match series against Pakistan to reach the World Test Championship final at Lord's in June. Alina Rybakina guided Kazakhstan to a 2-1 victory against Spain in a United Cup debut in Perth. The world number 6 defeated Jessica Monero 6-2, 6-3 in the singles and then combined with Alexander Shevchenko to clinch the deciding mixed doubles. Kazakhstan can qualify for the quarterfinals of the 18-nation mixed teams event by beating Greece in their second Group C match on Monday. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.